I was scrolling on the internet and this is what I found. And this isn't the only post. People compare their salaries to their friends and their colleagues only to realize that they are poorer than them. But why does this happen? And more importantly, what can you do to grow your wealth 10x from where it is right now? I obviously have a formula for this. Can I get a pen? Where's the pen? So let's start there. But before we start filling these variables out, you must first understand why the hell do you even compare yourself to friends? It actually starts with this. Let me show you. It's school over here. So, all right. So that's me right there, really happy, and I didn't care much about the world because I had friends. And all these people I went to school with Koreans. Koreans are good at everything. Like, they're all really good. They're all really smart. This guy was actually really good at math. But let's take Narissa for an instance. Narissa used to play the violin after school. I think she also played the keyboard. She was great at English. Her maths was fantastic. She got great mathematics. She was also a prefect. And she was highly irritating individual. How can someone be good at everything? And I'm sure you have a Narissa in your life as well. I absolutely love Narissa. But you know, as a child, I was really envious that how is she good at everything? We all have Sharma ji ka beta in our life. And our parents compare ourselves to the best person in that school and say, uske to marks aaye, tumhare kyun nahi aaye? He's good at sport, tum kyun nahi first aaye? And you know why that happens? There is an evolutionary biological reason for this. So imagine two kinds of humans 100,000 years ago. Take a look at this. So you have population 1 and then you have population 2. These are populations, remember? So multiple people are over here. If you look at this, you'll see these people actually cooperate really well and these people don't. Now, one thing over here is that these people have hierarchy. I'll name this H. So they believe that there is someone who's the leader and someone who's not. And this population also believes in assessing risk. The person who has the most tools or the best tools over here won't be killed. In fact, other people will try to form an alliance with them. And over here, comparison actually caused your survival, because early humans, when they compared themselves to one another and saw that this person has leverage, maybe social connection, maybe some form of money, maybe some form of skill, maybe some form of possession that no one else has, that you also need to get. If you don't have access to that as a friend or acquiring it, you could literally die. But now that's not true. I mean, in the real world, our old operating system in our mind is working and running this ancient software in 2025. Today, if someone has something better than you, you won't die, but your brain and body still lives in the cave, so it thinks that it may. Back to the whiteboard, over here, because everyone cooperated, they actually survived, which is why they had more kids who also believed in these things. They also had more kids who also believed in more things. Over here, people didn't believe that, and this population slowly perished. Therefore, comparison was survival, and all our ancestors were freaking anxious all the time. And it's actually a survival trait. It's not something random, which is why you compare, your parents compare. It's embedded inside our blood. And the solution is needed because think about what anxiety is. Anxiety is about thinking about the future, something that's not in your control. And regret is trying to control or imagine a different series of events that happened in your past. Something like this. The human brain, for survival reasons, thinks about the future, and worrying about the future creates anxiety. And that's right, you over here. And then you have the past, where you think about the past, and this creates future anxiety, past regret. The solution to this is something over here, and I call it the GJ. if you can guess what this is, because I'm obviously going to give it to you in the end. My point is very simple. When you start social comparison, you get all these problems and it's ingrained in you. That's why when you graduated from college, you started comparing yourself to all your friends, the money they have, the possessions they have, and what you don't have. Suddenly, your parents were not talking about Sharma ji ka beta. You were obsessed about who is the Sharma ji ka beta that I have to compare to and become miserable. And you know what makes it worse? The internet. Take a look at this video right here.
I suggest you take $1, buy some Bitcoins, put it in a goddamn wallet.
This video is crazy because he's asking someone to buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's worth a lot, right? But take a look at this. This video is 12 years ago, May 9th, 2013. It's about 4 days after my birthday. What the hell was I doing? Why didn't I watch this video? But that's exactly what YouTube was commenting. Take a look at these comments. This guy's rich now. Why am I 7 years late? Why wasn't I recommended by 8 years ago? But there was this one really funny comment which said, I wish this was told to me earlier because the YouTube algorithm has now costed me millions. So the point is, this is called regret, where you look at the past and you regret. Notice this video is really old, then Bitcoin went up after many years, then people started regretting. There's no point in doing this. So many people made so many predictions. Don't do that. And the problem with modern life is that it compares the best bits of someone else because they're highly curated on the internet with the worst bits of you. You're sitting in your pajama, going through someone and saying, everyone's life is so amazing because everyone uploads just their highlights. And it makes you feel miserable. I mean, take a look at this right here. This is an actual consumer research. Our close friends, the enemy, online social networks, and self-esteem. It basically talks about how there are higher levels of credit card debt for people who are highly social on the internet. So basically what I'm trying to say is, so you have to learn to be FOMO free. And like I mentioned, I have something for you right at the end of the episode which you can use every day and actually become FOMO free. I've done it. We make everyone in the office do it and it actually works. But before I show you this second variable right here, I've got to show you something even more interesting. It's this. So look at this carefully, right? So this is a report by Bloom and it's really nice. You'll see here that the rising share of premium and executive segment motorcycles. Now notice these are economy or cheaper bikes, which is actually going down. And then the mid and higher tier ones are actually going up. So you can see that this is decreasing and this is actually increasing. This basically means people are spending more on expensive bikes as compared to the economical one, which means people are spending on status and luxury items because, well, it gives better value maybe and you look great. But you know, like owning status symbols keeps changing. Like hundreds of years ago, I think there's a story that a tulip was status. Then you had owning livestock or a cow was status things. Right now, owning a car or even a German-made car is status. It keeps changing with time. And the key here is that it must be scarce. If everyone has it, then the KTM bike or that expensive bike suddenly becomes, I didn't say it, the newspaper said it, I didn't say it. And then I have some other data over here as well. Look at this. So as you can guess, this is phones and we can see that low-end phones are actually contracting by growth and these premium ones are actually growing 55% growth, which brings me to, which is, need. You buy something because you actually need it and not because you're looking good because of it, then that purchase makes sense. But where are people getting the money for this? I actually have it in the same report here. So Okay, here it is. All right. This is driven by a share of increasing consumer loans in the credit market. If you look at this, you'll see that consumers are actually taking more loans. It used to be 21% right here, and now it's actually grown to 34%. And this is because BNPL, we have credit cards, we have so many forms of credit. With just a few taps, a little bit of KYC, you can now access a loan. And that's why when people want to buy a want thing, they can just easily do it. So there was one thing over here. Found it. This one's interesting. It's you want to come here closer? The Indian household debt as percentage of GDP. कितना कर्जा आपके ऊपर है एक household में as opposed to the GDP of the country. You can see this has increased a lot from 33% to 42.9% at an India level, which means households now owe more. You know, the savings rate is only part of the entire picture. Another is just access to loans. And I'll show it to you here. Right here. Okay. This shows something called STPL, which is small ticket personal loans. When it's easy to get a loan, more people take it. And here's the data to prove it. Here you can see that the value of personal loans origination has increased, so more requests. Over here you can see the number of loans have gone up. The number has gone up. Here you can see that a large portion is small loans under 1 lakh rupees. And over here you can see that the size of the loan has gone from this massive 2.4 lakhs to 65,000. And all of this is being fueled by NBFC, a large portion which includes fintechs, not banks. And then you have stuff like this. NPAs going up, which means people who took the loans could not pay it, which means too many people are taking loans who are not credit worthy. And this brings us to the next part of the variable of the equation, which is here's a simple way to do this. When you buy something, you think, plus I own this new thing. Don't think like that. Think minus, now my net worth has gone down because I have a loan. But now I have the most important part of this entire equation, and actually I've been waiting to talk about this. What if the real purpose of your life is to discover who you are and remove fear? And I'm talking about these 4 things right here. First, I'm gonna say money. Because you don't have money, there's so many unfulfilled desires that you may not have. Next is time. You're not really in control of your time. Someone tells you what to do, someone tells you when to do it, and you're always completing someone else's to-do list. Then there is physical. That's a dumbbell, by the way. That's physical part of your life. Are you really in control of your body? You know, in my 20s, I never thought I could have knee pain and other things that old people do. I'm just 36. And that's when I understood your gut, your body actually affects your mental mood. Actually, that's a good point as well. Your mental health. We can talk about that and let's call it peace. I think this is the global symbol of peace, and I mean mental peace. And finally, friends. I think there was this Netflix documentary where people started going to blue zones to understand how the hell do people in these areas live 100 or more. And a large part of it was actually having friends around you, because it brings meaning and it brings you purpose. Look at this. What if you had all the money in the world but none of this? What if you had all the time in the world but none of this? What if you had physical health but none of the other things? The problem is, you spend 99 or 90% of your time worrying about just one thing, money, and you ignore everything else. Real wealth is having almost everything, thinking about everything and trying to acquire all these things in just the right amount. Now for that exercise I wanted you to do. Basically, go to the description and click on this and you'll find this document. The document will basically bring you to your present. Remember we talked about the future that brings anxiety, that you keep thinking about, and the past you keep thinking about bringing you regret. What you need to do is center yourself and bring yourself to the present. once you bring yourself to the present, you will actually enjoy life a little more. I try to write about the things I'm thankful for, but take completely for granted. One exercise, for example, is thinking about stuff that you really wanted 5, maybe 10 years ago, and you take completely for granted today. Even if it's something as simple as ordering a donut and getting it at home very quickly and eating it. However, we have the final part yet to be revealed, and this is the variable. And that's how you get to 10x wealth. But if you want a little more, don't forget to smile.